Hello, 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 everybody. I am so excited to be here tonight, and I'm so excited that you are here tonight. Thank you so very much for coming in and joining me on tonight. This is huge for me. Um, First of all, for those who don't know who I am, my name is Sondra, and I'm Sondra Louise, and this is Life After the Commas website or YouTube channel, and my first live podcast on this channel. And as I said, this is a huge deal for me. Um, some of you may remember, or some of you have been on this journey with me since I believe it was 2000 maybe 12 or so when I first um, became acclimated to social media and the digital um, podcast platforms with Blog Talk Radio. And it's been a long journey since then. And so to be back on Sunday night on a live broadcast is just huge for me. So, with that being said, um, again, I thank you for being on here, for joining me tonight. Um, there is a lot going on, and I wanted to share why this broadcast was not just why it happened, but why it's necessary. Uh, I don't take anything for granted. I thank God every day for the many opportunities that He's given me. And He has given me a lot of opportunities, and He has been so good to me. And I have to start off by giving Him all of the glory in my life because He's been that good. When I tell you that the things that I have experienced in my life and seen how God has brought me from one thing to another and opportunities that I could have only dreamed of. I could have only imagined. Some things when I think back on my life and the things that I thought I would be doing in my life, I never would have imagined the things that I've actually done. And to say that he's been good in spite of me is an understatement because I can honestly say that God's good wasn't predicated on me being good. And I'm so grateful for that. I'm so grateful for that because I realize that it's not our goodness that causes God's grace to abound in our lives. It's not that. Because our goodness is as filthy rags, the Bible says, in His sight. But it's simply by the blood and by the grace of God and what Jesus did for me. And as much I know this is a different type of broadcast, but what I'm going to tell you from the beginning, right from the start, I don't I don't want to be preachy, but I have to tell you, there's going to be a lot of word that comes out of me only because it's in me. And I can't not share what God has put in me. And a lot of that comes from the things that I've gone through. And I know the word to be flesh in my life. And so it comes out like that. Um, When this broadcast was given to me, and I'm telling you, this was like just over the past few days. This was not planned. I had planned to do some type of podcast somewhere in the future, but just didn't know when. And I certainly didn't expect that it was going to be this type of broadcast. But over the past year, and especially over the past several months, my life has gone through some major, major changes. My family has experienced a lot of changes. There has been things that we never would have imagined that we would go through. And then there's been some really great things that we had expected that turned out better than what we expected. But in and through it all, I have discovered that nothing takes God by surprise, that everything that we go through in life, He's going to use in some way, shape, or form. It's not, we never have a moment in our lives where God says, whoa, I didn't see that coming. Or He's scrambling for a plan B because things didn't go the way He thought. No. What I want you to know is that anything that you have gone through in your life, it wasn't, and especially those things that we just don't seem to have an explanation for. It's because we serve a God who is omniscient. He knows everything. He knows everything about everything. He's in our future, in our past, in our present at the same time. He is in everybody else's past, present, and future at the same time. He knows the things that we've gone through and how it affected us. He knows how we're wired because he's the one that wired us. But we were not made to live by ourselves and to do it alone. And so when we experience things in our lives that seem, as I said, like we have questions and we just don't know why or how or when or any of those things, it's because I believe Romans 8:28 that all things are working together for my good because I love him and I am the called according to his purpose. This is his promise to me that if he allowed it, he's going to use it. And that if I've experienced any kind of pain at all, that pain has a purpose. And if I can trust him, if I can trust him with knowing that, okay, God, this doesn't feel good, but if your word is true, and I believe it is, and I believe that you can't lie, and I believe that your word doesn't return to you unless it has done what it was sent to do, that even this somehow is working together for my good, and that you're going to get the glory out of this some way, shape, or form. If we can remember that in those dark times, if we can remember that when we don't know where our provision is going to come from, if we know the provider, if we know the source, we don't have to worry about where the resources are going to come from. And so I'm saying all that to say this. Over the past year, there were a lot of changes that have occurred. Now, some of you may know that in 2022, I went through a divorce after 30 years. And I don't mention that to dwell on that, is just to give you a point of reference. That was a difficult time for me, but I saw God's hand in it every step of the way. And I saw not only his provision for me as far as my needs and the physical things that I needed in life, but I went through also a journey of healing and him showing, and I'm still on that journey. I'm still on that journey, which is kind of why we're doing this right now. But in and through it all, I watched God do things in my life and bring things out of me that I didn't even know were there. I saw him transform the way I was thinking and the way even I saw um, different individuals in my life. And I also learned how to take responsibility for my part, because a lot of times when we go through hurtful situations, we tend to only see the other person or only see what they've done. But we don't want to look at even, taking responsibility for our part. And it's not to say that everything that happens to you is your fault and all of that. No, it's simply because you can never change what you don't take accountability for. If the responsibility of your healing, if the responsibility of you changing, if the responsibility for you getting better is based on what somebody else did, then you'll never change. You'll never get the results that you're looking for. You'll never get them. And so we take responsibility because we know who the healer is. We know who our provider is. We know who, whatever we went through, we know the one who is the answer for all of that. And when I look to him as being my source, then I'm not bothered by the resource and how it's going to come and when it's going to come and all of these different things. And so I went through that. And over the past year, there was a reconciliation as far as our relationship where we were friends. I felt like we were becoming friends again. And uh, all of that happened after the birth of our grandson together, who was born last Valentine's Day. And and that was a beautiful experience. And but this year there was a turn, a change, and not in our relationship, but in what he was going through. And on the 28th of February of this year, our family suffered the devastating loss of Winston not being here anymore. And it shook us. And I'm being totally transparent in this, in that it totally shook our family. And for me, you never, and I'll just say for me, I know maybe for some people it may not be the same, but for me, it was, even though we weren't together, there was still a love for him that would never go away. And so when he was no longer here, it kind of took me in a direction that was like, this is not how I thought my God was going to do this. I didn't think it was going to end like this. And I say that because when I say that I hadn't been on this kind of platform in so many years, it was because the last time I was on this platform like this, not on YouTube at the time, but it was with him. And as I started to evaluate, even doing this podcast tonight, because there have been several people that I look up to um, who are also who do podcasts and different things, and they had been telling me for years, you need to go live, you need to do this, and I would never do it, and I didn't know at the time that it was based upon what we had done in the past. I didn't really realize that that was part of my hindrance. That was part of my reluctance to do it. And through these last few weeks and the last few months since his death, I've been able to really reevaluate a lot of things that I was doing and not doing, and getting real with myself, and really taking a look at why I didn't do a lot of things, and why I would start things, and why I would kind of pull back and different things. And it was more to it than just that, but being real, these are places that I think we all have to visit when we talk about moving forward in our lives and doing things. We have to take a look at some of the things that we've done in our past, and take a real critical look at just where we are and be honest with ourselves. And I think sometimes we may not be, but with that being said, I started to see a lot of things that I needed to deal with. And as I started moving forward, and there's been a lot of things that have transpired since then, that I found myself having to pivot and, um, and kind of rearrange things and do things a little different than I had planned to do things. And so there's been a lot of um, changes over the past few months. But the one bright spot in it all happened last week, because all through this past year and coming into this year, we were preparing for our son's one of our son's wedding, and um, and that was Quentin, and so that happened last Saturday, and When that happened, it was probably one of the most beautiful weddings I've witnessed, and their journey was just, I was blessed to be able to kind of be there towards the beginning, um, when they met, or when they met face to face. I had the the privilege and the honor of being there, and that was a beautiful thing. And to see where they have come, over the past 3 years to get to this place was just remarkable and just such a blessing to be able to witness that. But when the wedding happened last week, it started me on a journey of asking some questions of myself, because I didn't know if it was just the fact that I was just so excited for them, and I was just so happy that they had come together, and that through everything that they had gone through, to see them finally at that place where they are, they're finally, married, and our families are together, and just seeing the joy that their wedding had on our family after, experienced such a devastating loss just a couple months before. And that one event started a chain of events. And what it did for me was it started me thinking, you know, am I ready, for marriage again? I've always had a desire to be married. I That's always been in my heart. I never um some people are fine with being, by themselves, and there's nothing wrong with being single, because you should be whole and single. You should never feel like somebody else completes you. No, you should be whole coming to that place. But I started to do some self evaluation, and I started to ask myself, these questions. Am I ready? You know, if 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 I have a desire to be someone's wife, am I ready for that? And what I mean by that is, am I physically where I want to be? Am I emotionally where I want to be? Am I financially where I want to be? Have I healed from any wounds from past relationships? And how am I dealing with those things? And if I haven't, how am I dealing with it? And then I started asking myself, also, with everything going so crazy in the world right now, the writing is on the wall that Jesus is coming back. I mean, if there was ever a time where we could see the signs of his return, it's now. And so, will he come back before 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 that even happens? I don't know. But in doing that, as I started thinking about all of the things that I would need to do to prepare myself, I started seeing the correlation that if I prepared myself for his return, in doing so, I would be preparing myself for my future spouse, if that is what his will is for my life. So it's a win win. So my focus should be, like the word says, to seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and then everything else would be added. And so then I started on this deeper self-evaluation. Okay, how could I effectively prepare myself? And how could I effectively prepare myself and have accountability in doing it? And so, in thinking along those lines, I said, "Okay, I've written several journals. I've got several journals out, and I said, okay, I'll make a journal. I'll do a journal on on my journey." And as I started thinking about that, I started, just laying out different things, different aspects that would go into that. And it would cover so many different things, and it would be and it have you ever had something where it started off really small and then it just started getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger as you went along? Well, that's how this was. So before I knew it, I said, okay, I could have the book, I could have this this journal, but then how could I have some accountability to go along with it? And then I thought, okay, a podcast. And of other people who would also be on that same journey. And I know everybody is not desiring to be married or to have a mate, but this journey, if we're preparing for Jesus' return, we're the bride, right? So this would benefit not only singles or even married couples, even anybody who is seeking to ready themselves, prepare themselves for his return. It's a win-win. And so that's where the podcast came in. And then I thought, but I wouldn't want to do it by myself. I don't want this hopefully is the last one of these broadcasts that you all will just see me. Hopefully, this is the last one that you will just see me. I thought it would be really cool to have a co-host, even a guest co-host, like every week. We could have a guest co-host where we're actually having a conversation, where we're getting, answers in real time. And we have people in the live chat and they're chiming in and they're asking questions and we're sharing that would be even better. And so that's how the idea came for this podcast. It was a series starting with a self-evaluation, starting with a desire, and then starting to analyze that desire and starting to look at myself and to see, okay, God, am I ready? And then, is this what you want me to do? Because there's so many different things that are good. There's so many different things that we can do. But we're in a day and an age where you want to not just be doing a good thing, you want to be doing a God thing. And because time is short and we don't have time to waste. And so this is how the birth of this podcast started. And I know I was kind of all over the place, but I'm asking you all to give me grace today. Okay. Like I said, I know I'm rusty. I know it's been a long time since I've been on, and even when we did Blog Talk, that wasn't that wasn't FaceTime. That was, radio. That was Blog Talk Radio. So that was different even then. And so doing it this way is a whole lot different because not only do you hear my mistakes, but now you're seeing them. So it is a different ball game right now. But I just wanted to just kind of put this out here and let you all know what went into this podcast, where the idea came from, why, um, why now and why we're doing it, and inviting you if you would be interested in being a guest co-host in future episodes where we're having a conversation. I'm not just on here talking and, you know, I don't want that. I don't want that. This for me is is hard because I need conversation to keep me on topic and to keep me, uh, you know, within uh, the structure of the podcast. So I'm asking you if you would be interested in being a guest host, and it wouldn't be every week because what my vision for this is that we have different co-hosts, guest co-hosts every week. We have somebody new, somebody different, and and just be on here to share. My criteria though is that one, you believe in the Lord Jesus Christ, that you are born again. You don't have to be a Bible scholar. I'm not a Bible scholar. I'm the first to say it. I am not a Bible scholar. I do the best that I can with what I have, but I will study the Bible. And if there's something that I don't know, and if it's something that I need to be corrected on, I am willing. I know I I I will I will do whatever I need to do to make things right because I don't want to be responsible for leading people in a wrong direction. Okay? And I know that for this platform, it's like the word says, to whom much is given, much is required. And so because I know that, I don't take this lightly. And so when it comes to the word, I'm just asking that you be like-minded. You don't have to be a Bible scholar, but we're not gonna have any foolishness, okay? We're not gonna go down that road. But if you are, you have a heart for people, you have a heart for truth, where you're, like I said, we're talking about the Holy Bible. That's the one that I use. That's the one I believe in. Um, and I know that there's all different versions and all of that, but when it comes down to the Word of God, I believe in the Holy Bible. And so if you are like-minded and you would like to engage in these conversations, we're going to cover a lot of things. But as I said, the ultimate goal is to be ready as the bride of Christ. And in doing that, if you desire to be married, you will always already be in the process of becoming that that spouse for your kingdom spouse. Okay? So we can't go wrong seeking to be ready for Jesus Christ. We just can't go wrong there. And so, what better way than to have a community of us that are doing the same thing? Now, the surprise that I was talking about, I have a new book platform that I have revamped a lot of my journals, and I will be introducing my new journal this week. But it is, and I'm gonna put the links to everything that I'm talking about in the description box, below this video. So you'll be able to get all of the links to those in there. But, the website is Books.by, and it's under Soar Global Network Publishing. That's my publishing company. So it's Soar Global Network Publishing, and it's under Books.by. And so that link will be down there. And so I ask, go to the page and check out my books. I believe you're gonna love the new improved versions of the journals. I had just such a good time redoing those, and I think you'll like them. And I really did try to do covers that weren't so feminine because I want both men and women to be able to use these journals. And so, go in and check them out. And also, just to give you an idea, so this is my dream journal. So, and this is like the second one that I've gone through. Yeah, and I'm almost through this one. So I've got two. I've got a hard copy and I got this one. But then this is my prayer journal. Now, on this new platform, it's only paperbacks. So, but this is the hard copy. You can get this on Amazon. So all of these are you can get on Amazon. And then also my Dare to Lead, that is my first book that I wrote. And this is both on Amazon and on Books.by. But I encourage you to get it on Books.by, okay? Because it really does help me out a lot more. And I have included the shipping in the price. So whatever price it is, there is no additional shipping because I have included that in the prices. So yeah, it's actually going to be better for you if you get it through Books.by. So go to the website and get that. And then also, when if you do want to contact me to be a co-host on the broadcast, and thank you all, those of you who are on here now watching. I see you, Rachel. Thank you so much. It's so good to see you. Oh, you don't know how much you blessed me that day I saw you at at the place. You know where I'm talking about. You blessed me. You blessed me so much when I saw you, and it just uplifted me because you gave me the the want to, to it showed me that I needed to do this. I'll just say that. You showed me that I needed to do this, that I'm doing a disservice by not doing this, okay? So you are kind of like an inspiration too for this because I kind of was thinking about doing a broadcast back when I saw you, but it wasn't until this past week, that I got the inspiration to do this podcast. But you kind of started that. So I thank you so much for being on here. And but yeah, if you are interested in being a co-host, a guest co-host with me, let me know. I would love to have you as a guest co-host. As I said, it won't be every week, but I would love to get you on here at least one of these weeks. And like I said, so we can have conversation. I love having conversation with people. And I think we benefit one another when we do that. It's that whole iron sharpening iron. And so let's do that, okay? And then also to contact me, you can also go to one after the comma at gmail.com. That's the email. Or you can inbox me at Facebook on my Facebook page at Life After the Comma, the Facebook page, or Sondra Louise, either one. Um, but to get the new book, the new book journal, it will be available on that Books by site on Friday, and it is called Becoming Made for You. And I don't have a copy of it right now, but I'll put an image of it uh, on the Life After the Comma Facebook page. So I'll do that for you. But yeah, so get your book, get your journal. Let's go on this journey together. We can help one another. We can be accountability partners for one another. And more importantly, we're helping one another get ready for Jesus's return because he is coming back, y'all. He's coming back for real. And even if even if you have no desire whatsoever to get married. If you're already married, this is also a great thing for you as well because how many of you know that if we can make our marriages better, why not get the tools to do that? Even though you may already be married, marriage is a journey. It's a journey within itself. And if we're constantly asking these same questions, the thing is that they say about the same thing it took to get them is going to be the thing that you're going to have to do to keep them. Well, if you're if you're already married, how about even strengthening it more by taking these assessments, by doing these things, praying. And I'm pretty sure you're already doing it. You're probably already praying for your spouse and you're probably doing those things. But there's some things that we kind of forget along the way. And having been married and have made my share of mistakes, I can honestly say that the things that are in this journal would have helped me had I known to do them then. They would have helped because there were some things that I was doing, but there was a lot of things I could have done better. And so, if there's a way that we can strengthen what God has already given us, why not do it? Okay. So, with that being said, I'm going to get off of here because I didn't want to be on here too long. and and I just thank you all who joined, especially those of you who joined live. I know this was kind of last minute because I didn't even put out the announcement until that it was even going to be here until I think it was after midnight. So with that, I am just so grateful for those of you who did show up. And I'm just asking you to share this information so that next week, hopefully, I'll have a guest co-host with me and definitely send that information out. And in case you haven't done it, subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the channel. I know a lot of people, I don't know what it is that people will watch, but they won't subscribe. I don't get it. But hey, go ahead and subscribe if you haven't done it already. And I really do appreciate you coming on here tonight for taking your time. I don't take it lightly and I don't take it for granted. May God bless you. And remember that life, no matter what you have faced, no matter what you've gone through, because you have Jesus, because you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you, life after every comma really does get better. God bless you.